Welcome. Thank you for being with me this early morning. Welcome to our panel. We choose Otome101. I heard some murmurs of, I recognize some people play before, but has anyone never played any games like this before? Any romance visual novels, or has everybody played before? Okay, there's some new people. Okay. My name is Hannah. This is assisted by Brooke, Poole, a friend of mine. We did a panel together at Anime Expo. A little bit different. It was an adult version of this. But there was some things that we kind of, little research and stuff like that we pulled together, and give her credit for that. She says hi. She was originally going to do a video on indie games because that's really her specialty. That's what she's really into, but she didn't have time. She's a really busy person. So, but pretty much this is going to be like, even if you played before, I hope you walk away and just appreciate it more. Some things you'd be like, oh, I didn't know that. I didn't know about that game, or I didn't, the origins of it. So pretty much I'm going to talk about a little bit about the origins, like the fandom in general, collections, people collecting things, stuff like that, age range stuff. And just the different genres, highlight some games, and also different character types. And I will explore a little bit of indies, the mobile games, stuff like that, and also upcoming releases and stuff that's been released this year. And like he said, I have a few little things, a couple things that San Japan gave me, and a friend, actually a friend that has a booth down there. It's Anime Yankee. She has some BL stuff. She actually has some Diabolic Lovers CDs too, so for sale. So yeah, you could check her out. She does have a lot of Otome stuff, but she has stuff geared towards more the female audience. So let me get started. So Otome games are Japanese romance visual novels with reverse harem. They're made up of an MC, which is a main character. In some rare cases, there's more than one. Nor 9 is a really good example, with multiple love interests to choose from, and there are choices made along the way that lead to the best ending, good ending, bad endings, and tragic endings. And there are various games, just different genres, like I said, historical, modern, fantasy, war, sci-fi, etc. And what I'm going to be talking about today is mostly the games from Japan that have been localized here. I will delve into some other ones, but that's going to be the majority we talk about. Especially with the different genres, you're going to get some, especially with the indie stuff, you'll get more really crazy various genres with that one. And there's a wide variety of love interest to romance. There's different personalities, and we'll go into that later. With sweet and even spicy endings, depending on the game. Some are a little bit more tame, and some are, they really go out there. So, and then even though Otome games were created for the female audience, that's pretty much what it is in maiden games. They offer more than just romance, and they're for everyone. And that's been kind of and it's something Brooke and I discuss. It's we shouldn't gatekeep these games. They should be for everybody, because I know straight guys that play, I know lesbians that play, I know. It just should be for everybody. And also, we'll talk about this too, even with the age range. We came across some discourse recently. It's if you're over a certain age, you shouldn't be watching anime or playing these games. No, you can. It doesn't matter. And actually, that got brought up later too about the age range. You'd be surprised what the majority of the age range is. And then we're going to go a little bit more about it. Many games have fully love interest, characters, except for when you get into the indies, not so much. And once in a blue moon, the main character shall be voiced. That's a very rare thing. I personally like it. I think it gives her more character when she's voiced. But, and there's some out there. There's one that's interesting. She's not voiced, but her mouse moves. That's Tengoku Struggle. I thought that was an interesting, her little sprite, her mouth moves. So that's kind of unique. And, most include an opening and ending theme, just like in an anime. And there's background music throughout, and it kind of relays what's going on the scene. So if it's, a dramatic, it's going to be a darker type music, or if it's an upbeat scene, it's going to be more upbeat. If you're a music fan, that's great. And they're available for various platforms, including Switch, mobile, Steam, and PlayStation. That's that's where the majority of play now these days. Because when I started, it was still the Vita was the majority of those localized games. Yeah, Sabina. So now it's a Switch. Everything's going over to the Switch, and Steam has a ton as well, especially with the indies. So this is a little scene here to kind of convey about the music going with the scene, and it's kind of like, is this guy a good guy or is this guy a bad guy? And this is from Olympiasaurian. This is one of my favorites. I love it up there for me. So I'll play this little scene.
その時は責任を取って私が相手を務めます。ですからご安心ください。後輩および行員の相手です。別の故障では夫になりますね。
So yeah, and I like how that music paused there, like jazz music stops and then it goes in front. But yeah, it kind of makes you wonder. And we recently replayed. His name's because we recently replayed my boyfriend replayed his route, and it was kind of like, oh, this music. It's like, knowing who certain characters are, the music is kind of like, and you're like, is this guy a good guy or is this guy a bad guy? Or, it's kind of interesting, especially the way they utilized music in that course. So a little bit of a breakdown. Most start off with a common route, and this is where we meet a main character and our love interest, side characters, etc. It's pretty much setting the story up. And there is a series of choices that you make along the way to get you to a route, and you can play blind or use a guide. I like using a guide. I don't like bad endings and stuff, and you'll hear me say that they're out randomly. That's not a thing, but it's your choice, whatever you prefer. And there's tons of guides out there. I know Blurty has guides. Otome101, if you know about them.
I love her.
Yes.
Great.
So she says hi, by the way. Both of them say hi. I was trying to get them to do. They're super busy, but yeah, they always say, tell them I said hi. They're really sweet, and especially Otome101, who's really deep into love and deep space. If you follow her on Twitter, you've seen it. So yeah. And like I said, you can play. In the case of, there's some rare cases, Olympiasaurian and Tengoku struggle. Actually, there's no choices. It's just one big common route, and then you choose a guide. There's usually one or two routes that are locked. But it's really interesting how you do that. And sometimes I have to go back and replay it because I'm so used to other games where you play the common over and over again. And sometimes like, wait a minute, I forgot this tidbit. I have to go replay them. So, and some Otome force you to play the bad endings, tragic endings to get to the good ones. A good example of this is Farish. And you'll hear me talk about this game. This game is like, you have to, and even if Tempest is another good, you have to play these horrible endings to be able to play the good ones. So, and some include mini games or puzzles, things like that. Amnesia, for example, you have a character that gives you math tests. He just keeps testing you on math. I'm like, thanks. Even if Tempest, it's like you're in a witch trial, and so you have this time thing. You have to make a fast decision. And then Lover Pretend is a good example too. It's another one where it's time, but you have to pretend. You have to prove to someone like, yeah, that's my boyfriend, and so yeah, what is he like? And you have to make a choice real quick. So cute little things. I kind of like that when they implement that because it's a little different. So, and this is, I like to use this. Well, this is the first time I'm using this one as an example. This is from Tengoku Struggle of like a choice scene. And it's just like this scene right here, she's talking to someone or whatever, and it comes up and says something, and she's like, so this is the same people that did Olympiasaurian, and it was funny because there's another scene I was using that was similar to this. She's like, what do you want to give me? But yeah, this is a good example, and usually when you make that choice, sometimes they'll give you indicators like, this is a bad one, or this is a good one. And this has a thing It comes up, it says, it's like a stamp that says happy or something like that, yeah. In Olympia, it's like a dial that goes this way. Beer Shona was interesting. It used like these color flowers that was kind of confusing. But so I'm going to play a little clip, and this is from Pia4A. I like to use this. This is not, and I should preface to say I'm not going to spoil details of big plot reveals and things like that, because even though some of you probably played these, but you know, some people haven't. So, but this is just a simple cute scene from Pia4A. I love using it. And pretty much our MC Lily, has to pretty much, the mafia takes her in because they're protecting her. So she's away from her church and her family. And so she's getting antsy. So this includes a CG scene. And also one point you've probably seen from the other little videos, when you start a game up, you can actually choose to keep the MC's name, or you can put your name in there. And I always put my name in there. It's very rare I don't, but I always just show my name in there. So I'm gonna play this. And you also probably recognize the mainstay you got in this.
ダメだ。この屋敷から出すつもりはない。
ボンジョルノ。今日もよろしくお願いします。朝ごはんは食べられそうです？だったらすぐキッチンに行ってもらってきますけど。わかりました。じゃあ俺は部屋の外にいるんで、何かあったら呼んでください。
何をやっているんだお前は。嫌な予感がして急いで帰ってきてみれば、お前はもし落ちたらどうするつもりなんだ。打ちどころが悪ければ死ぬぞ。教会は保護した子を礼儀作法に厳しく育てると聞いたが、あれは嘘だったのか。俺に聞くなこのおてんば。無事だったならいい。お前はどうしてもおとなしくしていられないようだな。
It's one of my favorite scenes. I really like it. I love that game a lot. I really recommend it before I too. And it has a fan disc called Before 1926. It's really cool mafia set in Europe. And it's funny when 1926 it kind of like talks about a little bit, you know, hints of stuff that's going on in Europe at that time. So it's pretty cool how they integrated that in there. But yeah, I like that one a lot. So that's a good scene of us with the CG and stuff like that. As we throughout the game. Okay. So where did it all begin? Did you?
Sorry. I normally always play on the fastest text speed, but actually having it slower, it was so much tenser, and that was such a different experience.
Oh,
than I
yeah.
normally actually do.
That's a good, thank you for pointing that out. Actually, that was, that's a
I
good
was not
observation.
playing so fast. I was actually really cool.
Oh, did you?
Yes, you said you like to insert your name into the.
Uh-huh.
What I like to do is I like to give her a very obscene name, like.
Oh my god, I love that.
When it gets spicy, you can't take it seriously.
Yeah.
And he's like,
Oh, that's a good
idea.
I should do that. I should do that one. I gotta bring that. I love that. So I gotta remember to do all that stuff. So where did it all begin? So in 1994, Angelique became the first neo-romance created by Kiko Arikawa. She's a Temco Koei exec. The game was on the Super Famicom, but it's SNES. So 30 years ago, Arikawa saw the male-dominated gaming industry and decided to change that. And she explains that the games were all from a male perspective, so I came up with the idea of making games for a female audience. Go from there. So more about Angelique and her. Arikawa was the only woman on the development team. So with time, she began developing a team of females with art and literature background, and these people never worked on video games at all. So it was really interesting, but you know, hey, learning as you go. And 10 years later, Angelique finally came to life. And this team became known as Ruby Party, and you can Google them too, you can still find stuff. And Angelique would go on to have various games, manga, along Running Magazine. And actually my friend, it's been a while, but she sent me pictures of the magazine because she really loves the series. She sent me pictures of the magazine she collected and stage shows, and even a few animes. I know one of them is on Crunchyroll. I think one's like on YouTube or something. So, but yeah, unfortunately it's not localized. Maybe one day we'll get it, but yeah, I know a lot of friends that just pretty much like find the old games and just like like I like to call Google scanlation in the hard way.
Yeah.
But even though the Koei Tecmo doesn't have as many female-oriented games these days, we must give them credit for paving the way for to many games that we have today. And you could look them up. I actually did. They do have actually one of the Tokum Rambu games, one of the recent, like in the last few years. So not a lot, but there's some stuff out there. But yeah, still give credit where credit's due. And so, why play it? So this is a little thing, a little goofy thing my friend Brooke made me for the So I cosplayed Yoda from Tengoku in the full jumpsuit. I was not going to do that today in this heat. There's a difference between Cali heat and this heat. And I was like, no. But I was doing casual Yoda today, but I was having weight. So I'm brown hair casual Yoda. So how did it start for me? It was like a little over 8 years. It started, actually, a mutual on Twitter had an extra old Vita, and they donated that to me along with Color Malice and Code Realist. And I started with Color Malice first, and I just got hooked. I really enjoyed the story, enjoyed the game. And then I started with Code Realist, which is, I don't know, she put that meme in there for me. But which is another great game. And then I bought Nora 9 because I kept hearing good things about Nora 9, and that's on my top list. I love Nora 9. So yeah, it became from there. I just started playing more and more, and then it was like a couple years before the Switch came out. Let's say around that time, and was sort of before we started getting. So I was having to buy like all these used games on GameStop or wherever else. So yeah, and at that time, and you'll see, we'll talk about this later, the time it was like we were getting, 2, 3 at best localizations a year, and now look at us. So, but yeah, it's like my journey, and now I'm doing this. It's like my 4th or 5th panel for this. So yeah, something like that. But I did it last year here, and I got to do it again this year. So. But yeah, I love it. I love the community. I met a lot of great friends that way. So, moving on, the wonderful things about it. There is a game for everyone. There's different, you don't have to, you're not obligated to play every single game that gets localized because, now there's stuff coming out once, twice a month, it seems like. So, but, and some people, not everybody's going to like every genre. You can pick and choose what you want to play. So. And it's another way of enjoying romance other than animes and mangas and visual novels and drama tracks. It's just like, if you like things like Fruits Basket or in High School Close, those are the 2 big ones for sure. But, this is another way to play it. So if you like that, you're going to... And also I like to use, if you like idols, male idol stuff, you're going to like this too. And Prince Emma, it started off as there's a series of Otome games for that. So, and also I like to say there's other games out there that are not Otome, but they're like gateways. I think Twisted Wonderland, A3 are good gateway ones. Yeah, those are 2 of my favorites. I'm mad that we lost our localization for A3. I'm so mad about that. And you get to play the game through the eyes of another character, and some people do the self-insert thing, etc. And it's a stellar save cast. If you heard earlier, Dante is played by Kaito Ishikawa, and he's in a lot of anime and a lot of Otome. Sawabe's in just big names. Actually, Miki, who's a guest here, he's in a couple of them. The character I had in the opening screen, it's him. So I was really excited. I was like, yeah, I got my first Otome autograph. Yeah, I'm so excited. Saw some other people too, so happy about that. So, and the music, of course, like I talked about before. And it's just more than just romance. In fact, some barely have any romance at all. And this is scenes from Verish, and like I said, that one is one where it's like not a lot of mushy feeling romance, but there is love there. It's just a different type of. So who's playing with me? This is something that we did before AX. So my friend Brooke did a poll on Twitter, and I did one. Sorry, I still call Twitter. And I did one on Facebook, and as you can see, she got way over 900 people, and I got over 300. So as you can see, the majority is anywhere between the 26 and 35 age range. And it was so funny to see people's reaction. A lot of people were like, oh, I thought it was the only person in my 30s that played. Because when I first started playing, it was like, oh, probably 16, 15 are the majority. It's actually not. And I can't think of his name, but they're at Cybird. They had a booth in AX, and the guy there. Anyway, he did a panel too, an Otome panel too, and I unfortunately didn't get a chance to make it. But he was telling me about, and I'd like to get the numbers for this. In Japan, it's different. It's like in the 30s and 40s are the majority because they've been playing it longer. Because obviously it's been more, it's been around longer there, and it's been more accessible. So it's a little bit older. So a lot of people are. It's nice to know, like, oh, it's not just a 15-year-old game, you know. And also, this age range has a little bit more money to buy these games compared to a teenager, stuff like that. So, but yeah, I thought that was very interesting, and it was really cool to see people's positive reactions to that. And so, the goods. The fandom likes to collect, and I'm showing off a little bit of the collection. Is way more than that. This, I really love this picture of my boyfriend. He won that, the Cyber booth. They had a contest at X, and with all these standees, and like, so to show you how much money people spend, it was literally, you got, for each $50 you spent at that booth, you got one ticket, and there would be people with like lines of tickets. So yeah, for their boy. Or girl, they actually, each of the MCs from each of the games have one too, so it's pretty cool. I like that. Respect to that. So yeah, he got like with this one ticket. This guy got really, but yeah, it's pretty cool. But that shows like, hey, and we have spending power. You know, it's like, you know, you see places and they don't really, you know, merchant stuff. It's mostly mail oriented or something like that. And this, it's like, hey, we are spending money. So the first one I'm going to show is Sarah's. This is just part of her collection, by the way. She goes, so one's, Tengoku and Pekuoki, and then the other one's Radiant Tail. Yeah, Radiant Tail. And she just likes collecting the little standees from the Otome parties and the like summer collabs that they do and what have you. I don't know how she stores all this stuff, but I was like, I want to show off some of your stuff, and she's like, sure. But yeah, this is just a little bit of it. And then this one's a good example of like, I have friends that do these sayings when it's their boy's birthday party. But Saint Germain from Co-Realize, and then the other one is from so yeah, with just like a little birthday stuff. I do that once in a while too, but I don't go that far. I'm too lazy. But yeah, it's pretty cute the way they do it. And they'll do the cake. Sometimes they'll bake or go get a cupcake. I've done that too. Yeah, I've done that too.
Like baking on cake excuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's a nice, that one's not more Saint Germain. I have a lot of Saint Germain fans, like they're just hardcore into him. So it's funny, I surround myself with that. And then the other one, some P4A2, there's Nikolai and Lily. I didn't know she had a little figure until recently. I was like, what? But yeah, the merch stuff is really insane. And as you see, I brought some. I have my Yona. So I'm a wrestling fan, so when I saw this at a wrestling event, I was like, yeah, I need this. Yeah. And I put Yona in there, because if you know Yona from Tengoku, yeah, it's very fitting of him. He's a guy's guy, so, and then my Dante bag and stuff, so I love standees and stuff. But yeah, those are like, I always post that on Twitter. It's like my Dante, bring your Dante to work day or whatever it is. But yeah, it's really fun to see that, and I love seeing the bags of just some. So we're going to get into the different genres. I might just highlight some games, some really popular games, and just talk about them. And first up is Hyatt. It's a historical fantasy. We'll start with that. And as you know, like I said, Miki's here. He's the main guy in that. So pretty cool. So it was first released for the PS2 in 2008. And then they had it in the Vita, and also they have it for the PS3 and the Nintendo DS, right? Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, Steam too. So just various. That's very rare because a lot of times they only go to Steam and Switch or Steam and Vita. This one was like for all different platforms. So. And so it started off with 6 routes, and then later on they had 12 routes, and they broke it up into 2 games. And actually now you can get it through Play Asia. Now they have it in English on for the Switch, so you can get it now through Play Asia, and it is broken up into 2 games, so it's pretty long. So it's Kyoto Winds and Edo Blossoms, and it takes place during the Edo period with historical characters, but it's got that fantasy twist, hence the fantasy. And it's about Chizuru, our MC. She leaves home to search for her father in Kyoto, but she gets mistaken on her journey. She gets mistaken for a dude, and then she, gets in this thing, and then she gets taken by the Shinsengumi. They take her in, and kind of from there, she gets caught up in that whole world, and there's this whole fantasy thing with, she finds out things about herself and her dad and other goings around. So even with the guys, really good story. I highly recommend, especially if you like the historical type of series. It's great. And there's also a lot of different fan discs and stuff out there that unfortunately are not localized. I was telling my boyfriend yesterday, there's this one where it's like a high school setting or something. So yeah. This one's another good one. It's Birushana, and it was released a couple years ago in North America for the Switch. And there's a fan disc. It's not localized yet. When are they going to localize? I really want to play it. And it centers around the Heike and the Genji conflict, once again with a fantasy twist. And it's about the Heike clan is just held their ground for a long time. And, so the only survivor of the Genji clan, it's kind of tucked away hidden, and the secret is she's a girl. And so she was raised as a man though. And so she takes on a journey, with her childhood friend and other people to pretty much defeat the Heike. That is the whole thing, defeat the Heike. It's another really good historical fantasy that I highly recommend. Great characters. So if you like historical stuff. Rom-com. This is such a really good one. Cupid Parasite is so wonky. It's great. So it was released a couple years ago for the Switch, and this year we got the fan disc. It has a new character to it as well. It's a modern comedy set in a fictional American city. It's Los York. It's like Los Angeles and New York. If you combine them, sure, why not? And it has a lot of mythology references, which is really cute and fun. Some routes really play in on that. It's very bright, very colorful, very, like I said, wonky. It's ridiculous. It's fun though. If you're looking, especially it's a nice cool down if you play some serious game and you need something like, well, that traumatized me. I need something. I need a laugh. This is really good for that. I had some friends that weren't in it because they don't like the colorful brightness of it, but it, like I said, it goes back to whatever your preference is. But it was a lot of fun, and pretty much the main MC is Lynette, and she works for a bridal advisor in Los York, and she wants to prove herself to her dad, who's a god. She is actual Cupid. She's Cupid living in the real world, and so she has to take on this test in order to get a promotion or job to prove herself to her boss and her father, and they're called the Parasite 5, and these guys are just hot messes. They're lovable hot messes. They are just, but yeah, we love them. I like that kind of cast of lovable hot messes. But yeah, it's really cute. And this one, I like to use an example. It's Love or Pretend. It's a very modern one. It came out a couple years ago as well, around the same time period. It's shorter, and when I say shorter, most games all the way playthroughs like 60, 70 hours, but it's more like 40. So it is, it's very modern, if you like that too. Chiyuki, she is a college student. She has a dream of becoming a screenwriter like her mother, and she's trying to find her dad because she never knew who her dad was. And so she does get this job on a set, and so she's working with all these people, but she doesn't know anything about, she's clueless about love. She can't write a love story worth anything. So she gets herself in these situations where she's having to pretend to be a girlfriend, and so kind of from there. But it's really cute. It's I'd recommend it. They actually, that same team did Symphony Kiss that came out this year, and that's just as good. I like that one too. And if you like the very modern setting, it's another good one. I think a lot of the rom-coms are more modern. So, and sci-fi, Nor 9. Really like this one a lot. It does have a lot of unique elements. It came out for the Vita 9 years ago, and now last year it came out on the Switch along with the fan disc. And it has an anime, so this one's unique because it has 3 MCs and 9 guys. So as you can see below each girl on top is her 3 guys. They're fully voiced too. And I really like this one a lot because it's sci-fi, which you rarely see in these games. And it had an interesting, complex story. And I do love the girls because they all had different personalities too. And I think it has a wide variety of guys too. But this one is like there's this young boy and he's on a field trip and something happens that he ends up in the Taisho era, but it's not like the Taisho era like he knows. And he gets caught up, pretty much one of the girls comes along and he gets taken on the Norm with this interesting spaceship kind of almost looks like a planet. And so kind of things go from there. But it's interesting too because it has that element of this other side character that's also kind of like a main character. He's part of it. So, but yeah, I really like this one quite a bit, and it has like a lot of unique elements because that's Fantasy Code. Realize is really good. This is kind of steampunk too, so if you're in the steampunk vein, and this was released quite a bit ago for the Vita, and it had a PS4 version too. It might have had other PS versions. I can't remember, but and the Switch 4 years ago we finally got it, and it has an anime and 2 fan discs and a musical. That's the thing. Sometimes these things get turned into musicals and stage plays. But it's one of the most popular and recommended Otomes. I would say it's a really good starter. And I know people that are just to this day hardcore, and I can see it. And this writer has worked on quite a bit of Otome, and I'll talk Cafe Enchanté, some of the Variable Barricade, so this writer is really, they keep getting them, must be really good. They are. And this is about Cardia, and she's isolated in this Welsh countryside home, and there's these soldiers that come to get her, but she gets saved by Lupin and the gang. And the thing with her is like her body is filled with this poison, like she can't be touched at all. So it's trying to help save her and also figure out all these horrible goings-ons going around. It's set in England, so it's a very pretty setting. Really good tale. It's really intricate, and I love the fan discs because they're very lighthearted and cute. That's another one of those things like a community group, like the gang. I think another one's like that is Tengoku, and I think even Cupid Parasites, because they're all kind of like friends too, because sometimes they're almost separate the guys, but they're kind of friends, like they know each other well, they become very close. So another fantasy is Cafe Enchanté, like I mentioned before. This is beautiful. It came out a few years ago. Fan this one because this is something people are begging for, and I am as well. We need to know more information, but I highly recommend this one. It's got a modern and fantasy setting, and also I think this has one of the best common rounds ever. Beautifully written. And it's pretty much our heroine. She's a Katone. She left her miserable job. She was working this office job. She absolutely hated it, and she inherits her grandfather's cafe, but little does she know, it's like kind of this portal to these fantasy worlds and all these like mystical creatures, people, creatures, whatever, like that's their hangout spot. And so she gets to know them, they become, BFFs and stuff, but she also gets to know about their different worlds too. It's just beautiful. And actually, I have a friend that works for Access Games, and that's like his favorite. He loves that. The MC, he really loves her. He can relate to her. He's like, yeah, there's crappy jobs, and work away to something. But that really resonated with him. But he really loved that, and it's just beautiful game. So fantasy comedy, also got a little bit modern too, I would say. Tengoku Struggle, it's a new one. I'm still obsessed with this game. Like, I absolutely love it. It is from the same team as Olympia Soaring. And it's a modern fantasy with a mix of comedy. and its unique elements for an otome. It's funny because when this came out, it's like, oh, same team as Lumpy, it's going to be the same. It's like, no, it's not the same. It's really, so pretty much, so there was this incident in hell, and pretty much these really, really bad criminals of hell escaped to heaven, escaped to earth. So pretty much, King Enma is like the king of hell, gets his daughter Reen to get the best of the worst in hell to go get these guys back down into hell. So it's like, so there's this town in Japan, like this fictional town, I think it's a fictional town in Japan, where it's like where the portal of hell, like the humans live there and people from hell live there. It's interesting, but it's funny. It's really, it has its little dark moments, but overall it's just ridiculous. And they live in this house together, and they're just, you know. But yeah, I really liked it a lot, and I highly recommend it. I thought it has these little scenes in there too. When I say unique, it almost like I thought I was about to play some fighting game. It sets you up for that, but it doesn't. And it's like, what am I doing? But yeah, and it has like these little emojis pop ups, kind of like a living comic book almost. If you played it before, you kind of know what I'm talking about. So yes, I love that. Mystery Suspense, Seven Scarlet. I'd like to talk about this because I recently, because they just announced that next year we're getting this localized for the Switch. This was originally Vita. So the people that weren't playing during the Vita days or have a Vita have this game. It's another unique one. And it's the same artist as between Prince Selma and Fire Emblem Three Houses. I really love this, one of my favorite artists. And Mickey's in this game too. He's the main guy in this. So it's this college student, and she travels with a friend of hers to go to this really secluded town where her brother went missing a year ago. And also during this time, she ends up forming some online group, like Ghost Hunters or whatever they but she goes there and she's trying to figure out what happened to her brother. And she just stays there over the summer, and there's all these things going on. So yeah, and you don't see a lot of the mystery suspense to me as well. So yeah, it's really another good one. Like I said, if you love the Uton artist, this is something pretty to look at. Something to look forward to next year. Modern, Bustafellows. This is great. So we're finally next year getting Bustafellows 2 localized, and it has a very unique Hollywood elements, TV. It's like a TV, like one of those streaming TV shows. And the MC is voiced, but it is just pretty much, it does have an odd, fantasy element, but Tetua, she's a journalist in New Sig, and it kind of takes place in, once again, like a New York setting in America, and she finds herself witnessing stuff of a lawyer, but she has this unique ability where she could turn back time for a little bit, taking the place of someone else. So she saves them, and she ends up with these group of people, like there's an attorney, there's a plastic surgeon, like a hacker. And they're solving these different things that are going around. It is really kind of compelling too, because it does deal with a lot of issues that are going on today in the world, especially in the United States. It's a little jarring for some people, and I should preface to say, always look up trigger warnings and stuff like that before a game. Always look up, because there's something that might not, you don't want to deal with, and I really recommend looking at it. And especially with this game, it is just it's great, really great, and the characters are fantastic. Great Seiyu cast too. But as far as modern, that's definitely peak. So Color Malice, this is my first game. I love it so much. So yeah, it has its Switch release, and it also has the fan disc. Fan disc was great too. And it has stage plays as well, and that 2-part anime that came out last year in Japan, you can probably find it somewhere online, because I don't think anyone picked that up, unfortunately. Usually a lot of them do, but they didn't pick this one up. So it is this young, hardworking cop, and what happens is she gets herself in a situation where she gets this collar on her neck, and if it gets removed, she pretty much dies. So they're trying to figure out you know, what's going on, because there's been a lot of crazy things happening in the city, and she finds this group of guys that are just like, it's their little own private agency. Great game, just really good. If you like that whole cop drama type thing, that's definitely going to be for you. But yeah, it's great, and there is a route in there. It's really, really emotional, great characters. But yeah, that's what got me. So, dark fantasy. This was released last year, localized for the Switch. This year we are getting the fan disc to this. I'm so excited. Actually, Brooke, and I'll talk about her a little bit about, she's starting a podcast, and we're planning on doing a thing together of everything. We'll wait until after we play the fan disc, a little podcast on it, so I'm excited about that. But so if you love dark fantasy, boy, this is for you. And once again, Co-Realize and Cafe, same writer. So pretty much it is set in this really small, almost like a European island, and the people are cursed and they can't live past the age of 23. And so the only way to survive is become this reliver. There's some sci-fi elements to this too, and it's pretty much you clone your body as is, so you're young forever. You have your young body forever. But there's some other elements, but their MC is considered, because she ends up in these situations where these horrible things happen around her, and they consider her cursed, but she meets this mysterious guy, and it kind of like sets the stage for everything else. I don't want to say more, but once again, this one, it's not for the faint of heart, but it is absolutely beautiful. It is a beautiful game, and I like this one of those games where you have to play these horrible endings to get to the salvation. And even salvation's kind of questionable in some cases, but yeah, it's gorgeous, and just like I think a lot of people would hail. It's probably I've never heard anybody's played and said they hated it. But yeah, and you know, for me to go play these horrible endings and get through it and love it, you know, it says a lot. It says a lot. But yeah, definitely check it out, and yeah, look forward to the fan disc. I'm looking forward to that. So, musical rhythm, Jack John. This is such, talk about beautiful. And all the ratings I've seen of it is a 10 out of 10. It was released last year. This is a long game, by the way. It has a lot of routes. It's probably about 140, 150 hour gameplay, but totally worth it. And it includes rhythm games. Each performance is broken up to, you know, you have your summer and you have your final, you have your winter, etc. And there's always like a final performance, and then you have your rhythm games. You have at least 3, I think, per performance. And the choices, you probably want to use a guide for this, because there's a bajillion choices in this. So it was actually written and designed by the same people that did Tokyo Poole, which I found out this year, it blew my mind, because I always knew the art looked familiar, so where's that art from? And I was like, whoa. And it's crazy, you can find some interviews and stuff. He even wrote the songs, it's insane. And I always liked Tokyo Poole, I thought that was written well, but I was like, wow, this is really crazy. I hope he writes more, because he's great. He's great. Yeah, so definitely check that out. And the other one, and this is the broccoli too. Speaking of broccoli, Tuna Prince, I want to go back to that real quick. That is another one. A lot of people don't know. Actually, a lot of people, especially the new fans, did not know that was various. They're not localized, unfortunately, various Otome games. So yeah, check those out too. If you, like I said, just Google Scanlation the thing. But it has, you know, the series and stuff. You're pretty fan, you know. And also another thing with Jack John, it was all over the place. It sold well over 100K copies, a lot. And that's a big thing for games like this. So, big thing. And so I'm showing off some top 10 recommendations from some friends. You can see there's some of those, especially Brianna, are not localized, you know. So you can see some of the patterns. These ones are really good. And there's people even put the mobile games you can't, they're not shabby at all. I see some people take a bit, I want to say it's okay if you take pictures, but if you see something that you really like, catches your eye. And the next one, I put mine in there, my friend Jasmine. I just realized ours is kind of very close, kind of similar. Mine's not in any order though. It's kind of hard to pick a top fave because I love them all in their own way. Even Tempest is another one that's a really good like dark fantasy type of witch trial. I think fantasy, really recommend that one. That was great. That was one of those games that Voltage did that there's no physical copy, but you can buy it, and it came localized as well as, it released in Japan at the same time as it released here, so it's pretty neat. We're starting to get a little bit more of that, which is great. So, mobile games is a big thing. So they're free, most are free, but however, there is, a premium if you want the gotcha games, if you want your best boys. And they charge for extra special things. Cybrid is a good example of, say, like if there's a guy's birthday, if you want his special clothes or you want his special stories, you have to pay for it. So it's the only downside. But the story, they have a lot of main stories that they continue to typically add. These are some of the titles. I want to point out a lot of these actually from China. They're actually Chinese games. Love and Deep Space, huge. You probably guess. I couldn't play, I had to stop playing because you have to have quite a bit of space and a newer phone to handle that game. It's so gorgeous. And it is so, like, you can't escape it. And you know what's funny, when I started playing, like, most people I knew, like, kind of looked down on mobile games, and now mobile games are, like, considered, like, prestigious in some cases. And so, but yeah, Love and Deep Space is crazy. So they had like some little food snack truck in LA. I never had a chance to go to it because it constantly had a 3 to 4 hour line. So that it shows the fandom has no like hey, they're dedicated to the boys. It's everywhere. Like I said, if you go on Twitter, it is Otome101 and Chloe. She is hardcore and she will constantly tweet about it. So, and Boys Love, they do have some, hey, they got visual novels too. And some might not consider Otome, but in this case, we're going to consider it because they're visual novels. They, you have your choices. It's just in a different setting. And also Otome is quite involved from 30 plus years ago. These are some of the popular ones, and a big one is Dramatical Murder, as pictured there. That one's really great. And it's funny, I always joke with a friend, it's like every con I've been to, I always see at least one cosplay from this, and I saw 2 on Fridays, so we're still keeping the...
I saw one.
Oh, yeah, there you go. I even saw I was like, I'm going to see it at AX, even with all these people, I'm going to see it. Sure enough, I saw a group of people from like a big distance, like, yeah, but yeah. That new Carnival, and that's a newer one, and that's a mobile game. I love it. Yeah. So I'm gonna get into that eventually. Actually, my friend I was talking about, Anime Yankee, she has some of the merch down there, some of these big cloth. Rowdy, it looks so rowdy. I love it.
Carnival's 18 plus children.
Yes,
Yeah, it is
18 plus. Very much 18
Yeah,
plus.
it is 18 plus. And if you do start the game, please be alone. That's
Yeah.
all I'm gonna say. That's all I'm gonna say.
So so this is I don't have a computer capable of this. I need a Steam Deck. So, but Innie is an independent Otome, and Innies are made up by a few games that have various diverse backgrounds. And there's just more love interest. So you'll find, non-binary love, MCs and male MCs, different. It's just and the genres are huge. And they're always coming out with some. I'm using, majority of these are on Steam because they are a little bit more, it's only a few people work on this, independent, it's more, low budget. And I don't want to say it in a negative way. It's just like they don't have the funds of these huge companies like Broccoli and Otome, And Save the Villainess is something that's coming out soon, and it was fully funded in 14 hours, which is a huge thing. You can find a lot of them show up on Kickstarter all the time. You can find that, but that is huge. That's a really big thing to just get funded, like not even a day, get fully funded. And Blurry Otome and McDonald's Golf Brooke, those two, you can follow them because they're always posting about indie games. And I know Blurry, she does most of her streams are indie Otome games. So, you know, she's great too. They're both love people. So, Gretsuki Studios. This is just recent news from the last couple weeks. They are actually, after like 3 years, it got something going with Switch, so Nintendo. So this is great. And they're going to start a Kickstarter soon, and you can follow them. And actually, they just posted the other day about they're doing a casting thing as well. They're looking for people. So this is really big news, especially we might start seeing more Otome on the Switch now and any other larger platforms. This is a really big thing. So, you know, keep a lookout for them. You can follow them and, you know, help them if you can. You know, this is great. So, Otome Cage, that's Brooke's up and coming podcast, and the first one that she did was on Save the Villainess. She interviewed them, interviewed the creators and what have you, and like I said, we're going to do something for Verish months from now. I'm looking forward to that. She does also do stuff, it's called the SML podcast, and they do various games, but she does do reviews to make games and board games and what have you. And this is something from Jasper that does Dramaticum and all these other really 18 plus things, but so they were showing off. I just thought that was cool. They were showing off the tattoos, and that was something Brooke and I did. We were showing off some Otome and Utapre tattoos. It was crazy. So many people are like, here's pictures. So many people have Masato tattoos. It's crazy. Of all the Utapre, it's like Masato is like, I feel like it's number one to get a tattoo. But top 10 indies, I asked some of my friends, so you know, show off. I hear Particles Reality a lot, you know, Vow to My Liege. It was funny, Sarah was like, I've only played one, it was Vow to My Liege, and please recommend that to everybody. So she's like, tell them, spread the word. So, yeah. Some good.
Yeah, Possible Boyfriend.
Yeah, it's
It's like it's sort of a parody of the genre that has a lot of stuff for it. And
Yeah.
you think it's going to be just this really funny parody dating sim with birds, and then you start to realize that all of these groups have different interconnecting information that you start to piece things together.
Yeah.
And once you've done all of them, you unlock this final picture. And that just destroys you.
Yeah, I have to definitely check that one out. So this is more, Jane, my friend Jane, I did an interview thing with her last year, and she's working on this kind of 1920s Great Gatsby type thing, but she is looking for writers still, I believe, but you can follow her. And she, I didn't cut off her app there, her at, but you can find her, and she's always, this is a slow project for her, but it's going, and this is something that she really likes to do, she really wants to do, and I think that's cool, Great Gatsby type theme game. So character types, all the little boys, yes, they're all good boys. First one. Best girls, though. I want to show off best girls. These are just some of them. I know there's way more than this, but these are just some of our lovely ladies here, and they're different. I mean, they're cops. There's, you know, Green, who is like, you know, daughter of the king of hell. You know, soldiers. There's, you know, warriors, what have you. You know, we love them, and we've got to show respect to them. It's hard to pick a favorite. I think probably my favorite is Olympi, though. I don't know. It's just me. It's just me. Kudere. These characters are typically stoic and don't show a lot of emotion. They always seem to keep their cool in tough situations, hence part of the name Cool, Kudere. They come off as rude or uncaring. They're very similar to Tsunderes. Despite their cold exterior, deep down they're very mushy. And once they get to know you, they open up, become very protecting, very loving. And these are, in my opinion, are very good examples of that type. They're like probably the best of that type. And yandere. So I did the same. Because I was thinking.
No, that's what I was saying.
It's very bad. Because I was talking with my friend Brooke, and we were like, you know what? Some of these are kind of spoiler. And I was like, you know, you're right. So we're gonna let you find out for yourself. Play these games, and you can find out for yourself. So they're typically, yes, they're very loving and caring too. However, they become obsessive and a little crazy, and they lose their cool easily, and they become very violent. And there's different levels of them.
Yeah.
Some are very extreme, some are not. You know, they're tame. But this is a guilty pleasure because obviously date that in real life. But yeah, no,
Exactly.
But I will say there's, you know, I can think of a few that involve a cage. I can think of a few games. There's more than one. That's all I will say. But tragic trauma. This is kind of hard too because I didn't want to spoil. But you know what? There's you can't. The entire cast, even the side characters, even the side characters. I mean, look at the plot. It's like you can't live past the age of 23. There's this curse, and even that, you know, when you're playing the game, there's this. Even when it's like daylight, there's still this like dark cast, the coloring. It's just There is no. Some are more tragic than others. Some of the guys are more tragic than others, but it is that's the whole cast, and they typically have a lot of baggage, hence the name. You know, tragic trauma, and much suffering. I don't know what else to say, but there's But just play. If you could handle this game, you know, I highly recommend. Tsundere, like I said, they're very similar to a kudere. I like this as you. They're usually cold and rude, and they pretty much put up a front, very similar to the kuderes, hot and cold. You don't know what you're going to get with them. And they can get embarrassed too. They're like, and eventually they open up, become mushy and lovey like a kudere. It's funny that I lined up Riku and Yona down there, it's the same artist, but their mouths are the same, and it's like, it's fitting. But these are really good examples. Cian is very, from Vera, she's very much, Soon, if you really like Soon's, you can say something?
Yes.
Kudere, it's their personality, and tsundere, that's just the front.
Well, I guess, how can I explain it better? It's more they get angry, like the tsundere gets more angry. It's like, no, I don't like this. And I don't know how to explain it any other way, but it's like, no, get away, you know? Where, putting up a front, They act tough, like Yona is a very good example of this. I think he's a really good, and so is, oh God, I blanked out on his name from Collar Mouse. They're really good examples. They're really good examples of that. Really good. Were you going to say something?
Yes. So I think that first of all, I don't like Jude. Screw Jude. And
no, real.
You don't like who? I'm sorry.
Jude.
Oh, I haven't gotten his route yet, so it doesn't.
And so, an example of a tsundere that pulls it off better, in my opinion, is Eve's Kloss from Icarus. And
he's a good,
Because he's not as outright hostile. He's just easily flustered. And
that's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one too.
Also, Liam evens over Jude any day.
Yeah. I like him. So Shota, these are usually the youngest of the love interests, and they can be innocent or sweet or really hyper or really shy. There's kind of like different variations, and the romance is usually on the sweet side. Showed from Utri's a really good example. Yeah, these are all good examples, different types. Yeah, this is not my favorite one, but I know a lot of friends that are really into this. They're cute. I like Tokisada from Olympia Story. I really liked his route a lot. He was adorable. My one friend really likes this type. She's like, oh, it's Pookie. She calls them Pookie types. I was like, I think it's cute. I was like, Pookie types. A childhood friend. So they typically grew up with the MC. They just stayed with them the entire time. Oh, someone's really excited about that. Or, they were, separated for a bit and then came back. Big brother type. Yeah, super protecting. And they either had feelings for their, MC a long time or start developing them a little later on. There's a lot of, this is a pretty common type, I would say. A pretty common type is usually in law. There's way more than these, but like I said, I'm just throwing some out there. And flirt. They use pickup lines and there's whatever, but they're not bad. They're touchy feelings, but they know their boundaries. They're not bad guys. So, and they don't treat them like a flame. They're on the inside. They're pretty loyal and they're very protective as well in their own way. Really good examples of these. I liked Raoul from Cupid Parasite's route in the Fandis quite a bit. His was really good. So Genki, and you notice the theme, they're all redheads. So if you're Genki, you gotta be a redhead. So they're sunshine boys, and they're cute, they're full of energy, full of life, big sources of happiness. And sometimes they don't show any sadness or anger, the feelings inside. Some really sad boys actually, but they're super cute. I liked all of these routes, the routes that I showed. That's why I highlight these guys. Yeah, it's funny because MP is a Genki and he's a flirt too. He's a good mix of both, but they're cute. And Otia is like a perfect example, of course.
The one from Radiant Tail was really good.
Oh yeah, he was good too. So I can't fit these two in any of the other ones. I mean, there's a mixture in my little meow meow types. The redhead's Yang, and Tomomori is the blonde. Yang is from Piafore, and Tomomori is from Beavershana. They're something else. They're special.
I don't know either of these characters, but I feel like I do know them because of my little meow meow descriptor. I would
there you go.
understand.
You just by look at there you go. Yeah, just by look. I really recommend you go play these games just for these two. Just for these two alone. If you want a real treat. If you want a real treat.
Is the main character the meow meow or is he the meow meow?
No, the redhead is. Definitely not Lily. Yeah, that's good. No, I just like this picture because it kind of explains partial, because the other CGs are a little too spoilery. Yeah. And I didn't want to use this. Look at through, it's like, this is spoiled.
Him feeding her was a good one.
Yeah, it's meow meow. Orange cat behavior. It's another orange cat behavior. And it's funny, there's different, and if you play these, there are different flavors of them. But they're all kind of the same, yet not. But yeah, if you want spice in your life, go right ahead. But poster boys, these are the true routes, as they call them. And these are the ones that pretty much tie up the main story. Those are like, I guess sometimes there's some childhood friend elements to it, but there was, there's something that's linked, to be the true route. Whether you agree with it or not, that's how the game, I'm doing it from how the game perspective, how they do it. And you can usually see it on ads and stuff, it's pretty apparent. And I think, so with Goman and Akaza from, Olympia Story Tengoku, they make it ultra apparent that those two are the ones. I would say Cope realizes too with Lupin, but those make it super apparent. And usually sometimes their routes are a little longer too, like by a chapter or two. And it is like, even if you don't like them per se, it's got big plot reveals in there. Like I said, it ties it all up. There's some really good ones in there. So, one that got away, the main characters, so we want a date. I want to include way more, but of course space, and there's just like, so some of these I got the help with friends on Twitter. the comment at the bottom was like, yeah, I've got to, if you played Olympian, everybody's like, so Olympia Soaring, I forgot to mention, is getting a sequel game. I am so excited. It's a sequel too, so it's going to be more, so everybody's like placing their bets if certain guys are going to get routes, so they're like, are they going to get them? But yeah, these are the ones that like personal also what other people say, and a lot of people, some Kanan, it comes up a lot. Tsukiyomi from Olympia comes up quite a bit. Some of these guys are from Jack John, and they kind of had like, I wouldn't consider them routes, and that Jack John's supposed to eventually get another game too, but these are just some of them. There's quite a bit. And so anime's manga's based on Otome. So many throughout the years have been made into series and movies. There's a plus side where you get to see them animated, see them in different settings. The only downside is like they make them like 12 eps usually, and they cut out like 60, 70 hours of gameplay. So it's kind of hard, but it's kind of nice to see it in a different environment. Should you watch them? Yeah, you still watch them. Take it with a grain of salt. Take it away. And if you watch them, because I watched a couple before I started playing, and remember there's a lot of stuff like chopped out. So just keep that in mind. And that is a way too. The MC wasn't voiced. She is now. So and this is some of them that have been made. I will say. Cookie, that I didn't list that on there. That one actually had the best treatment because there's various movies. I think there's at least 2 series and various movies. Sentai has the rights still, I believe, but you can find it out there streaming. Yeah, but that had the best treatment of them all, in my opinion. And the villainous isekai, that's becoming a thing. And isekai, the protagonist gets reincarnated into another world, and there's a trends of isekai otome where the MC gets trapped in her favorite otome game. My Next Life as a Villainess is a perfect example, and that actually got made into a game, and it's a really cute. It's cute. It's really cute.
It's a great game, yeah.
Like know anything about the original?
You don't have to know about the original because it actually explains the story as you go along. So and you know what? That might be a good start as well. But yeah, this is some of the lists. There's a ton. As you know, isekai is like so huge right now. I told my boyfriend, I was like, I don't know when this is going to end, what's going to be the ranking point. But it's even come over to stage plays. It's actually a really big thing in Japan. I know you could probably, on buy from Japan stuff like that, you could probably get the DVDs and Blu-rays. But many of them have turned in plays and musicals, and some have. There's no translation, but you could probably get. If you're trying to learn Japanese, actually, probably be a really good way to teach yourself. Cupid Parasite, and I thought their casting was so cute. If you look at the pictures and stuff, Collar Malice, Dramatical Murder, and Varish is getting, which I'm like. I'm curious. They're going to start off with Cian's route apparently for Varish, so that's going to be interesting how they're going to turn that into. I don't know how they're going to do it, but yeah. So just some references, socials of some people. Sammy Fish there, that is Sammy, my friend that works for Access. He does the Thursday streaming for Access is not always Otome. They try to switch it up. But he has been streaming Varish on Tuesdays on his personal channel. And it's been funny. I've been watching some of the clips because there's a route that he started, was, in my opinion, the most roughest route. And his reactions are pretty, because he's like, excuse me. He is just like, what is going on? He didn't expect it to be, he had an idea, but he was like, okay. But yeah, and Idea Factory also does stream it. I feel like sometimes they switch up between Tuesday and Wednesday. But there's some other people. Otome Addict, she does some streaming as well. She's from Italy, and she does some streaming too. So these are good folks to follow. References. And last but not least, recent release localizations. This is the stuff that is released so far this year. A lot of good ones, a lot of fan disc, but I'm okay with that. And the Carrot to Bloom one, that one was kind of a localization, not really, because you had to get it from, it was one of those ones when it released in Japan, it also has English in it. I'm still waiting for mine. We'll get to play it one day. But it's from the same people that did Cupid Parasite, and apparently the reviews have been really good. It's super cute, apparently. It's a little shorter, and it also has, it's one of those games that has different MCs. Each guy has its own MC. So it's pretty cute, and art looks beautiful. And it's like, you could tell it's not like Cupid Parasite, but you could tell it's the writer at the same time. So this is upcoming so far. I mean, I have a feeling next year they're going to really lay it thicker on this, but as you can see, I want to, Meiji Tokyo Renka, I want to point out something with that. That is insane. Because that game came out like, what, 12, 14 years ago or something like that? And that was one of those games that people was like, it'll never get localized, never. We are getting an English like port for it, and that is a big thing. So now you could say never, because, and I think they're recognizing it's like, a lot of, especially when going to these cons and talking to more people, I'm finding more and more people that really love this, and it's just growing. It's growing, and I think Love in Deep Space is doing a very good job. All these Chinese mobile Otome games are doing a very fantastic job of roping people in. So kudos to them. So yeah, there's quite a bit. The Project Code ones are from Voltage. They announced that a while ago, and I put the question mark because they did say recently on Twitter, like, we're gonna we're still working on, I didn't forget about, but I have a feeling there's probably delays and stuff that's beyond our control, but yeah. A lot of these, I'm looking forward to them. And I'm gonna post my top upcoming picks. 3 of them are fan disc, but yeah, I'm really looking forward to these ones. The 3 fan disc ones, obviously I put on my top list, and the other one, it's Chironia, the one, it's the same team that did Pia4A, so like obviously, yeah, I love Pia4A a lot, so I'm like probably gonna like that. 9 RIP, that is a big hype one. And that's kind of like a suspense kind of mystery type one too, so we're looking forward to that. But thank you. I'm going to do a little random giveaway.
More people came in later. Please just raise your hand that if you did not get a rocket.
Have you ever heard of Hustle Cat?
What is it?
Hustle Cat?
No, actually not.
It's in indie. I've never met anyone else who's ever played it.
I played Hustle Cat.
I love you.
It's so good.
I
love it.
Steam, like, it's been on my Steam wish list forever.
You should play it. It's an indie. It's pretty short, I would say, compared to other games. It's really sweet. It's about. It takes place largely in a cat cafe.
Oh,
And all of the characters are witches.
oh, that sounds cute.
Hustle Cat.
Hustle Cat. Hustle Cat. I'm gonna have to check that out. I'm surprised I never. But there's so many indie games and stuff out there. It's like, but that sounds right up
The characters, all the characters are
my favorite. Oh, I love that one.
There's one girl that is.
Oh, I'm sorry. I guess I'll take it as I go.
Oh, that's cool.
She has her head down. She has her hand up and her head down. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, okay. Oh, your head. That's right. Your hands are up because of the thing. I'm sorry. You're good. You're good. I'm like, it's too early.
A lot of people have questions.
I know. Yeah, like that's a good thing. We had that.
With the merch, I just wish more artists would jump on Otome games.
So yes, that is something.
Yeah.
It really said it's very rare. I remember when Crunchyroll Expo still existed, I came across 3 vendors that had like Otome that was like Color Malice, Could Realize, and I can't remember the other one, but yeah, it's very rare. I've come across some on. I come across some sometimes on Etsy. Etsy's a really good place for that, and like I said, on when you go into the world of Twitter and you follow folks. like you'll find people are like, oh, I got this, I got that. Oh, wait, it's,
I didn't mean to interrupt.
no, you got
I like your question. I haven't played myself, but I've watched my friends play and stuff. I've noticed from the early 2000s to like now, a lot of the, like there was an option of an older male character that you could,
yeah, that's a good thing to bring up.
like not just, you know, I'm 1,000 years old, but he looks eternally
Like-
18. He actually has.
Yeah, he has some age to him. There's so, it's very, yeah. Dope. Actually, it's very rare, and more the indie games have this though, but actually Love or Pretend and the Symphony, I cannot speak, Kiss, actually have guys, there's two that, each game has one in their 40s, so it's pretty nice. Yeah. I wish there was a little bit more. I feel like there's some. Cafe. Cafe has an older. Yeah, he is voiced by Suave. He's like in his 40s too. Yeah. I'm sorry. Huh? Oh,
Someone's
did you?
missing a ticket? All right.
Oh, no, you're good. Yeah. No, I feel like it's starting to become more. I never liked. There was one. Was it? I think it was a period cube that had like a 14-year-old. I was like,
Nightshade has that.
yeah, Nightshade had that too.
The first
And-
I did, and I went, well. great.
yeah, I feel like they're starting to break away from that because they're realizing like, it's, older, I don't want to say old, but you know what I mean, people in their 20s and up are playing it and they don't want to, so when I played that with Period Cube, I had to take it with a grain of salt, and thankfully they did it in a way.
I don't want to date the little baby.
Yeah, you know what, like, that's my son. But they did it in a way it was not overtly, it was more of like, in a friendship way, you know what I mean? It like that. Went along, I was like, thank God, because this is kind of, But thankfully I'm seeing a break away from that in a lot of games, and now they're getting into the late 20s and 30s, because I know like Tengoku, I think Goemon is like late 20s or 30s, and I think Jack is too, but yeah, there's more that are, and it's funny with Varish, it's like, Cian's like a very old man, but he does look in his 20s, but he's like old man. I think he's been like hit 20. He's probably in his 80s technically. Just doesn't look it. It's one of his games, but yeah, they're starting to break away. But like, oh, I wish I can remember the name of the game that my friend Brooke really loves. But it's like all DILFs. It's like all men in their 50s and 60s. And she's like, yes, that's something. It's one of those. I want it next year here. I want to do the 18.
I think there was a cafe anime based on
Yeah. I think that's it.
that. The cafe was run by like all these 50-year-old waiters.
I'm sorry. You wanted to say something real quick?
Yes. So I have been getting into more indie Otome games, and I feel like another good source to find them is itch.io because they have a lot of yes, because like I've been playing I've been waiting for Sunny Day Jack. I don't think anyone really knows that game.
It sounds familiar.
Yeah, and I've been waiting for it, but they did like I'm waiting. It's gonna be in October, so I was just
Okay, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, thank you for letting me know.
So I'm gonna do my thing. So the ticket. 720, if you get your tickets out, 720-1195. Are you still here? 720-1195. It's from my friend, it's like a little, I don't know if it's a scarf per se, but it's from Bungo Street. So, and then we're gonna do 720-1153. Yeah. So this is a blueberry it's from Sandigan. They gave donated, so thank you. Yeah. But you guys were great. I love how interactive you were. 720-1165. You're still 1165. Yeah. Thank you. So, and 720-1189.
Oh,
Yeah. And last but not least, it is 720-1177. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm sorry. But thank you everyone for coming. I really appreciate it. I love how interactive and immersed you guys are in this, but I hope you took away something from it, or if you're interested, go out and try some. Oh, and I want to say, usually it's Labor Day weekend. I know Access has sales going on, Steam. Yeah. So a lot of people are like, oh, I want to check out these games. They're much cheaper, so definitely go check out those sales. Thank you.